Yo, 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 yo. Good morning, everybody. Good morning, good morning, good morning. Most likely when people see this, it'll be good afternoon.
Yep.
But it's a good morning for me.
It's a good morning for us.
It's a good morning for us. Coach, how are we feeling today?
Feeling great. Feeling energized. Ready to get this on the road.
Absolutely, absolutely. What episode is this?
This is episode number 7.
God,
Siete.
God damn, episode 7.
We're here already.
And here I thought we wouldn't make it to episode 4. I didn't think we would even get this far. But speaking of getting this far, we have been waiting and anticipating this player to finally get on the floor with his newfound teammates, with his newfound team. And it won't happen until next week, Coach.
3 more games.
3 more games. Joel Embiid has been suspended by the NBA for 3 games due to pushing a reporter. This reporter apparently made mention of his late brother and certain other family members of Joel Embiid's family. And this is what caused Joel Embiid to kind of just, man-to-man check him in a sense. Like, why are you bringing that up? Why are you talking about that kind of watch your mouth situation? Do you think Joel Embiid should have been suspended?
I don't think a suspension was necessary. I think it could have just been a little fine. You know what I mean? Like, couple, maybe like 10,000, something like that. Whatever they're like, whatever their amount usually is for that type of stuff. I feel like that should have been like, that would be the proper kind of discipline for that. But yeah, I think 3 games is crazy considering he hasn't played a game yet, has he? Or did he?
No, he has not played anything.
Like that's my point, is like, this is your premier center in the NBA and you're going to suspend him for another 3 games when he was ready to come back. Like, I think I just don't think it was smart on the NBA's part. I think they could have just they could have fined him, and then if that reporter wanted to press legal charges, that's on him. But I don't think a suspension was necessary.
If you press legal charges for getting pushed,
hey, you never know. You know how people like to take advantage of people with money.
You're right about that. But do you think this suspension is more so due to the fact that the NBA is kind of upset with the 76ers with how they've been doing the whole Joel Embiid injury situation? Do you think that this suspension is more so them trying to punish the 76ers than it really is them punishing Joel Embiid? Because I think it's more so the NBA trying to punish the 76ers for the way that they've been handling business so far coming out of the gate with the NBA season regarding Joel Embiid's availability to play. I think that this 3-game suspension is more so about the 76ers organization than it really is Joel Embiid and shoving a reporter for mentioning his late brother and different things like that Joel Embiid obviously took as a very disrespectful way.
I think it's an underlying motivation in the suspension. Like, I think it's definitely something that was considered when making this decision, but I think it's also the NBA looking out for its reporters as well. Because I think we've seen it in sports where some reporters some
they're gonna meme you for that. Reporters.
Hell yeah, reporters. I mean, some of them are. You know what I mean?
Goddamn reporters.
Reporters. Some of these reporters have come under like some scrutiny from these NBA players.
Yes,
I mean, some of them rightfully so. Asking stupid questions. But like, there's also the argument, no question is a stupid question, but I think there's cases of that.
Absolutely.
So I think, NBA players have grown more and more frustrated as time has gone on with the media, also with like the whole NBPA organization and like the whole locker room thing, which the NFL I think is trying to integrate as well. That's just showing kind of like the the direction the players in the NBA are wanting to go with the media, and I think the NBA is kind of like trying to put their like as an
They're trying to put a
organization,
foot down.
yeah, as a business. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like you need the reporters for this thing to function. You know what I mean? You need guys. You need
but-
guys breaking news. You guys need
Yeah.
people talking about situations. Like it's important, but I think it's also important things are addressed in the right way, and I don't think this is the right way.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's also just kind of something to be said about talking to players in the locker room right after a game. I know that's probably where you get your hot takes and different things like that, but there should be some type of professional decorum between the players and the reporters, and also this understanding of reporters, or at least some type of establishment that says, like, wait, when after a game, we're going to allow players to kind of cool down, get their heads together before we put them in a situation where they say some stupid stuff. Now, granted, if we always allow players and athletes to be in a situation where they have their minds together and they're able to go up there and professionally bullshit, then we don't get the type of content that we want as media, as people like that. So I understand that you lose some of that volatility that you get when you're going right to a guy right after the game and he says some shit that he probably shouldn't say, and now you get to go, yes, thank you.
Yep.
Thank you for fucking up.
It's my fucking story now.
Exactly. Yeah, you know what I'm saying? So I understand that you want that, but nevertheless, let's move off of that. I mean, I don't feel bad for Joel Embiid. He's a multimillionaire. He's not going to jail or anything is happening like that. But at the end of the day, he's in a situation where we're waiting to just kind of see what kind of impact he's going to bring to the 76ers. And we have to wait a little bit more. So hopefully when he shows up on the court, he'll prove exactly why last year people thought that he was supposed to be the MVP had he not got hurt.
Hopefully he could stay on the court too.
Absolutely.
Yep.
But moving on, football, baby.
Football
is baby.
Awesome.
Football. Week 9, coach. Week 9. Any surprises?
Let's see. I mean, no.
I was gonna say nothing was a surprise. I mean, maybe the Bears game was a surprise.
I think that was probably the only surprise that, not like outside of Chicago, that was probably the only surprise as well as far as this week. I think I had Dallas winning, but other than that, I had a lot of these games going how they went. From last week. The Cardinals. No, not the Cardinals. Sorry, the Carolina Panthers. Bryce Young gets his first NFL win, right? Isn't that the case? He finally got to take a snap in victory formation for once. I mean,
technically, that's the reason why the Saints head coach got fired. Yeah, because they lost to the Panthers.
Which I don't think probably would have happened to the Bears too if we lost to them. You know what I mean? Like. It might have gotten. It probably would have started then instead of starting when it did. You know, kind of after the Commanders game and especially after this Cardinals game. But other than that, no real surprises for me. Baltimore putting belt to ass to the Broncos. They just played good football. Played good football.
I didn't know if the Baltimore was going to spank them like that, but they definitely put belt to motherfucking ass on the Denver Broncos. But it was more than I thought it was going to be. I will give that. I didn't think Baltimore would run away like they did against the Broncos because I felt like the Broncos were kind of coming in hot, which is why I was hesitant to put Bo Nix on Who's Cooking. And I had made mention of, like, I kind of want to see him do a little bit more before I give him the Who's Cooking tag, because I think that's an honorable thing that you should have to work to get. You can't just be cooking around this bitch. We gotta really see that you cooking first.
Speaking of, I think it might be time
to play our game.
To play our favorite game, coach.
To play our game. Who's cooking and who should stay the out the kitchen?
Number one,
who's cooking? Lamar goddamn Jackson. MV3. Because it's coming.
Mm-hmm.
That MVP is coming, coach. I don't even know what more can be said about this guy. Outside of the fact that many people thought for the longest of time that he wasn't a quarterback that can throw from the pocket. Many people subscribe to him as somebody that was just a running quarterback, that he can only make things happen with his legs, that he was inaccurate, blah, blah, blah. And there's some fair assessment on that being the case at some point that you could have said, like, okay, there's some truth there. That he did struggle with being able to make sure that he could throw from the pocket, that he can make all the throws with accuracy, that he could read the defense as best as he should, or whatever the case may be. But now those questions have been answered. This guy is a bona fide fucking quarterback.
Yeah.
Like, however you want it to get done, he can get it done. And I think that's the most dangerous thing about him is that at one point you used to be able to say, like, okay, if we just force him to be a pocket passer, we have a better chance of beating Baltimore. But now if you force him to be a pocket passer, he can kill you from that perspective. If you decide to blitz him and allow him to get free out of the pocket, that's even more dangerous. That's even more of a problem. And then if it's a game where he's doing both against you, then you might as well just hang it up.
Yeah.
The Baltimore Ravens, like I said earlier, as we started this show, and I don't know if it was like episode 2 or 3 when I said that as long as the Baltimore Ravens stay committed to running that football,
Yep.
they are going to be the team to beat for the Super Bowl. And I stand on that. I stand on the fact that the Baltimore Ravens are the team to beat. I know that the Chiefs are undefeated, and I know Baltimore has lost some games, but the formula in which Baltimore uses to win is big-time football, especially when it comes down to the playoffs and when the temperatures are low, it's cold outside, and you can't really throw the ball all around the field. Having a running attack like the Baltimore Ravens have is going to put them in prime position to win in the playoffs before you get to the Super Bowl where the climate is controlled and you're in a dome and you can kind of go back to playing like it's 90 degrees outside.
Yeah, no doubt about it. The Ravens, I think the only trouble that might come for the Ravens is playoff time. I think they've shown history of kind of getting to the game but
not showing up,
not executing
the
day of the game. But if there was supposed to be a year that they were supposed to win it, it's this one, man. Like, you've got Lamar playing out of his mind. You've got Derrick Henry, who's probably going to end up being Offensive Player of the Year, and then Lamar end up winning MVP. Like, that's crazy to say, you know what I mean? Like, that's crazy shit. And then I think if the Ravens could just figure it out on defense, like they did against the Broncos, like if they just have an outing like that, you know what I mean? It's a scary team to play, especially with Lamar. Obviously, this portion is about Lamar. Like you mentioned, though, there's not really much more to say. Like, I think he's really grown to be this complete quarterback now.
Absolutely.
And it's great to see. Like that's how you that's how you want your mobile quarterback to develop. Like that's like this is the blueprint. That's the blueprint.
Lamar is the blueprint. Yeah. I agree with you.
Yeah.
And this goes to say that if you just put the time in and you develop and you get the right coaches and you get people in that believes in that quote unquote run first quarterback that has all of the arm strength and the intangibles to be a good quarterback, if you just invest in them, Lamar Jackson is the epitome of, if you just invest, this is the return.
Yeah, no doubt.
This is the return on investment.
No doubt about it.
But speaking of return on investment, back to the NBA really quickly.
Mm-hmm.
An undefeated team that I did not suspect.
Mm-hmm.
Coach. The Cleveland fucking Cavaliers, coach.
They look good, coach. They look really good.
The Cleveland Cavaliers, coach.
I think
wait, hear me. Hear me when I say this again. Because you're not getting the reaction. You're not giving me the reaction that I want. The Cleveland fucking Cavaliers, coach.
Fuck Cleveland, though.
Fuck Cleveland.
Are you going on vacation to Cleveland? I'm fucking not.
According to Joakim Noah, no.
What the fuck is there good in Cleveland?
What the fuck is there good in Cleveland? But
these Cavaliers, though, that's what's good right now. That's what's good.
Because it damn sure ain't the Browns. But these Cavaliers are killing.
They're cooking.
Now, it's early on in the season, so I don't want to necessarily say that I'm a big believer that this is going to be sustainable. But when you're looking at them play, it's not one guy that they're leaning on night by night. I want to say that Cleveland has a well-rounded team. If Donovan doesn't have it that night, Garland is well capable of taking over.
Yeah.
If Garland isn't able to take over, then Donovan may have it, or Evan Mobley might step his game up.
Evan Mobley's been playing his fucking ass off. Like that's one of the guys that coming out of college I was really high on just because of his length and his skill for his size. Like he's got that KD type of build and maybe not necessarily the same.
He don't have the KD game.
Right, but I mean,
but he has his own game. He has his own thing.
Like I don't think anybody's doing what Evan Mobley's doing. You know what I mean? Like he's so unique in that way, and he's such a perfect fit for Cleveland. And I think this
he's kind of like what Orlando hoped that Jonathan Isaac could have been.
Got you. Yeah, that's very true. I just don't think Jonathan Isaac has developed his offensive game as much as they hoped. But just really honing in on Cleveland here really quickly. I think the only thing that's going to prevent them from being like one of the premier teams in the NBA this season is themselves. I think if they're going to go into games,
self-implosion.
Yeah, and I think it'll all start with availability. Yeah, I mean, there's the saying the best ability is availability. So in the case of Darius Garland, when he's on the floor, the team plays well. He facilitates the ball well. He could score pretty much at any given time.
Yes,
but he has a history of injuries, and when he's off of the floor, you do see that kind of disconnect and kind of the push now for Donovan Mitchell to facilitate the offense. And I don't think that's necessarily his strong suit. I like him kind of off of the ball, almost kind of like how Zach LaVine is this year, being able to play off of the catch, make a couple moves, and get to the basket or pull for a jump shot. I think that's where he's at his best, instead of having to take the ball up and be guarded by the best player for 94 feet. You know what I mean? But no, the team's playing great. You know what I mean? That's fuck Cleveland, but like, it's cool to see the Cavs play good. You know what I mean? Like they're a city that is deprived of good sports. So like
they're deprived of everything.
Yes,
good sports, good weather,
good food.
They
ain't got shit.
Good people, good houses, good water.
Pretty much just fuck Cleveland.
Good. I'm not gonna say good women. I've never been to Cleveland, so I won't say that part of it. But all the other things, it's probably true. It's probably true.
Well, unless you had anything else to add, I want to move on to my favorite portion of this Who's Cooking segment. Number 3.
Back to the NFL, huh?
Back to the NFL.
Yeah.
Ben motherfucking Johnson. All right.
Yeah, so, the floor is yours, Coach.
Yeah, let me just start off, and this isn't on no like glazing stuff. I just really want to keep it neutral, because obviously he's still in the NFC North,
and he's with our competitor,
right? He's on the Detroit Lions, you know what I mean, who's number 1 in the division. So obviously we're still competing with him, but you got to give credit where credit is due. I mean, this Detroit offense has, in these past 2 years, exploded. You know what I mean? Like, and they don't necessarily have like the insane like skill position players that maybe some of these other teams have. Yeah, but
that's true.
It's just such a perfect balance between everything. You've got the accurate quarterback and the smart decision making of Jared Goff. You've got the elusiveness of Jahmyr Gibbs, and then you have the power running but also elusiveness of David Montgomery. Mm-hmm. You've got the speed of Josh Reynolds, of Jameson Williams, and then you've got the savviness, the craftiness of Amon-Ra St. Brown. And then, of course, you got Sam Laporta, who is still yet to really make an impact this season, which is even more scary. Mm-hmm. And then you've got a fucking all-pro offensive line. Like, that is the recipe for success. And Ben Johnson is capitalizing on all of this, which, I mean, is going to lead us into a conversation later on. But, like, Bears fans are calling for this guy to be our head coach now. And my only concern with that is that he doesn't have head coaching experience. And we've seen in the past when a guy doesn't have head coaching experience,
they don't do well.
Yeah, and it kind of could crumble from there, right? They're not necessarily very experienced with making those calls, when to throw a challenge flag, when to call a timeout, things of that nature. But as the offensive coordinator, doing a great job, and he's shown openness in his last press conference of taking on an NFL head coaching position. Where that'll be, I don't know. I think if the position is available this offseason, which it definitely should be, which we're going to get into in a second, the Bears should run on this. They should fly into the situation, because for me, I don't see another candidate that makes more sense. Like, if you want to take this team to the next level and really be change the narrative about the Bears and be an offensive team, you got to go get this guy. I don't see another mind that makes sense.
Unless you get Cliff
unless you got
Kingsbury.
Cliff, or unless you got Robert Saleh.
But we can save that because there is something that I saw that was kind of unique about some of the names that you mentioned. But my real favorite part of this game of who's cooking and who should stay the fuck out the kitchen is that, God damn it, these two motherfuckers need to go. And excuse my language a little bit. I know I gotta calm down a little bit. I'm a little perturbed with these two individuals. And that's why they were motherfuckers this morning. But instead of them being motherfuckers, they're dumbasses.
Yeah.
They're just complete dumbasses. Mm-hmm. But these two dumbasses should stay the fuck out the kitchen. Number one, Matt Eberflus. All right, look, Matt. Look, Matt. ISO on me. You don't know who I am. But I know you. All right? And I want you to know this. You have fucked my Bears season completely. I didn't like Hard Knocks because I thought you looked like a piece of shit the entire time. I thought you looked like you went and got a fucking haircut and you thought that was going to change shit. You didn't get a new identity. You just got a haircut. You're still the same old Matt Eberfuck. Okay? You are a terrible head coach. You're a great defensive coordinator, but you are a terrible head coach. Last week, I said that you did not take accountability for that loss that we had against the Commanders. And you didn't. You blamed your second or third year cornerback on not being in the right place at the right time. Okay, fair. Okay, maybe I'll give you that one. But did you not have 3 timeouts, Matt Eberflus? Did you not have the ability to see the field and see that one of your players did not have their head in the game? Why didn't you call a timeout? As the head coach, that's your job. Thinking ahead, you allow a play to happen right before that Hail Mary, a gain of 15 yards, knowing that a quarterback was hurt, knowing that they probably would have issues throwing the ball down the field, and you allowed that shit to happen to make that Hail Mary play even more probable. That's your fault. Then, on the Hail Mary play, you had a fucking quarterback spy. Who the fuck you spying on a Hail Mary play, Matt Eberflus? Where the fuck is Jaden Daniels going to run to?
To the fucking end zone, coach. Where else is he going to go? He's going to run 75 fucking yards to the end zone.
I guess so. I guess so, coach. Because that's why we need to spy the hurt quarterback who is going to run his ass off after he's just coming back from a rib injury. You fucking kidding me? What do you think we are? You think Bears fans are just complete fucking idiots? Don't get me wrong. There are some fucking idiots as Bears fans. But do you think all of us are just complete fucking idiots? You must. You must think all of the Bears fans are just dumb as shit that we can't read between your bullshit or your Bears shit. Because the reality is you are the head coach, Matt Eberflus. You sat this kid against the Arizona Cardinals to prove a point. And what point was proven? That you can't win on defense without him. Great. You double down on being more of a dumbass. Does that make you feel better? Does that make you sleep better at night? And then to have the audacity to still show up in press conferences with the same old rhetoric of we need to be better. No, fuck a we. You need to be better. If I was any player in your locker room, I would be telling you, stop going up to that fucking stage talking about we need to be better. You need to be better.
If I may interject here.
Sure, go ahead.
I think he's lost the locker room.
He lost the locker room at Hard Knocks.
Do you think so? No, I think he lost it after the Commanders game.
Nah, he lost it at Hard Knocks. Those fucking players don't believe in him.
Gotcha. Yeah, I could see that, but I mean, like, there was a sense of rallying. There was a sense of like camaraderie. There was a sense of family. After those two games against the Panthers and the Jaguars.
Yeah, because you win. Everything looks good when you're winning.
Like it changes the whole narrative.
Yeah, we all like each other when we're popping champagne and we're winning and shit like that.
And I think it was so detrimental to the team that they couldn't move on from last week's loss against the Commanders, and that's on the coaching staff. You know what I mean? Like that's on the leadership group, also of the captains, but it's also on the head coach. Like, why do we make it such a point of emphasizing like you have to have short-term memory loss almost, like as a head coach and as a player in sports. You gotta obviously remember what happened, learn from it, but you got to move on at some point. And these players, they hopped on the plane to go to Arizona, to go to Glendale, and did not move on. And that is why the score was 9-29. Like, that's just unacceptable. But if you don't have anything else to add,
no, I don't have anything to add else about Matt Eberfuck.
Fuck him. He needs to get out of here, which isn't going to happen this season, unfortunately, because the Bears don't do that.
But to stay on the topic
of coaches,
of bad fucking coaches, and this, you know what, this pains me. Not to the point that I want to be sentimental, because this is fake, but to the point of like, he's from Chicago, and he's from my side of Chicago, the west side of Chicago, the best side of Chicago, whether people want to accept that shit or not. But fucking Doc Rivers, like, bruh, you inherited a team from Adrian Griffin. Sorry, AJ is his son.
Yeah.
But you inherited a team from Adrian Griffin that was technically a winning team. They let go Adrian Griffin because most likely Giannis wasn't feeling his coaching. Okay? They bring in Doc Rivers with all of this pedigree, and we have to really start analyzing this pedigree and how it's amazing how some people can really run off the laurels of things from yesteryears to the point that they're really running on fumes. Because this one championship that he's won with Boston, or that he did win with Boston, has given him so much credibility to the point that people are refusing to recognize that maybe Doc Rivers is a bad coach. Just maybe he just caught the perfect storm. Paul Pierce was at the end of his prime, but right where he needed to be in it. Kevin Garnett at the end of his prime, but right where he needed to be in it. Ray Allen towards the end of his prime, but right where he needed to be in it. Rajon Rondo becoming the point guard that is a mastermind point guard and just was able to orchestrate all of that at the right time. And then having a coaching staff that included Tom Thibodeau, where you were able to utilize his defensive instincts and understanding. It just maybe was a perfect storm for that Boston championship. But maybe we've given Doc Rivers more credit than he actually deserves for that one championship, to the point that it's allowed him to circumvent any type of process or any type of due process of analyzing whether or not he's a great coach. He's been able to go from Boston to being traded as a coach to the Clippers. That's how valued he was. He was a part of a fucking trade. Understand that, people. This coach was traded. He was a part of a package deal to the Clippers to be their coach. Fuck that situation up. Got them to the Western Conference Finals, I believe, or at least the semifinals, and lost multiple times and flamed out. Then he left there, went to Philadelphia, did the same thing, flamed out multiple times. After that happened, you were put on the sidelines to be a TV announcer. And that didn't last long enough because you were able to get another job with another team that has stacked players on it with Damian Lillard and Giannis Antetokounmpo. At some point, now that the Bucks are 1-6, we have to start saying Doc Rivers may not be a good coach. He may actually be bad.
Yeah. No, without a doubt. And I honestly don't think I have much to add on this because you've kind of covered all of my thought process on it. Like I wouldn't be surprised within the next 2 weeks if this track continues that he's out of there. I see Doc Rivers more as a game manager, just like being the coach because they need a coach. Like I don't necessarily see him as this like mastermind, like maybe like Steve Kerr is on the X's and O's, maybe how Tyronn Lue has been with the Cavs or with
The Clippers
or
now.
with the Clippers now.
Yeah.
Like, all these other coaches that are making impacts for their team. I don't see Doc Rivers. I never saw Doc Rivers as that guy. I mean, maybe in Boston, but like even then, he had great assistant coaches. You know what I mean? Like you said, he had Tom Thibodeau, and I think that's so important to know is, it doesn't just take one guy to determine team success. You got to look at the surrounding assistant coaching staff as well, because I think it's a unit at the end of the day. You know what I mean? It's not an individual. It's a unit.
I like how you laid that up there.
Yeah.
I like how you did that.
Yeah.
That was smooth.
A little layup off the glass.
Yeah, I see how you did that. I see how you trying to set up your conversation for later.
Yeah.
I like that. But no, fuck that. I agree with you on that.
Yeah.
I agree with you on
yeah.
him and that. But fuck what you trying to do.
I know.
I'm gonna shut that shit down.
I know. That's all right. Let's move on though.
Yes. Absolutely.
Let's get to this Bears game. I'm just gonna give a quick little spiel, I guess. Because honestly, I don't think there's much to say about this game. Simply that it was bad football. Like I said, in our "Who Needs to Stay the Fuck Out the Kitchen" segment, the team never moved on from the Commanders' loss, and I think that's ultimately what killed them. The Cardinals came into that game ready to ball out. They really wanted it, and you could tell they were flying, east-west on the football field, giving Caleb a hell of a time trying to make throws that weren't necessarily there. Getting pressure to the quarterback again. You had injuries on the offensive line. You had injuries all around, like on defense and everything. It's just, it's very porous. It was a very porous performance from the team in general.
Yeah.
Especially that offensive unit, but then also that first half from the defense. You haven't seen that from the Bears this season yet, where they just have a really bad first half. And I think this goes back to the Eberflus portion of this show, where they had that long run right before halftime, and it was just another example of bad coaching, in my opinion. Like, coming out of halftime, he took accountability and was like, "That's my bad. I put them in a pass protection defense, in a pass defense rush instead of maybe a rush defense, But I saw that as so fake. You know what I mean? Like, I saw that accountability being more so just there being pressure on him to say something like that. Like, I think there was definitely a conversation between like Ryan Poles and him, like, you got to start doing this shit. And he just finally did it. But it seemed so disingenuous.
Or it could have been that he's already done the whole week. He's already experienced the whole week of blaming his player.
Yeah.
You can't do that 2 weeks in a row.
No, you can't.
And maybe in that situation, you probably really wanted to say, like, my guys didn't do what they were supposed to do. They were not in the right gaps, and that's why that run was able to just break off the way that it did. But when you've already gone a week of trashing one of your players and then benching them, and then you follow that up with another week of saying, like, hey, guys aren't doing what they're supposed to be doing, then it starts to be like you're just deflecting blame all around.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
at some point, maybe they had that conversation, maybe him and Ryan Poles did, but I think it's more so that he just kind of understands that 2 weeks in a row of deflecting and making it seem like your players are not doing what they're supposed to be doing just looks bad.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I don't know if you had anything else to add on this game, because I really don't. I mean, it was nice to see Rome.
We just see
Rome.
Hit
hit over 100 yards again. Caleb obviously has somewhat of a connection with him, which is good. That's what you want, like between rookie and rookie, quarterback and wide receiver.
You do, but you also understand that it's kind of bullshit, because at the end of the day, you wanted Caleb to come in with the weapons that he had to utilize all of them.
Yeah.
Not to come in and just go like, okay, I'm a rookie, you're a rookie, so let's just kind of have this rookie connection. It's like, nah, you got all of this potential help around you. You're supposed to be making DJ Moore look like the superstar that we signed him up to be.
All right, well, he was last season.
You're supposed to be making Keenan Allen look like the safety net, the veteran wide receiver, the security blanket that he is and has been his entire career. Maybe you're now trying to make Keenan Allen look like a superstar, but you're definitely supposed to make him look like the possession receiver that we thought he could be, that 3rd and 2, that 3rd and 3, 3rd and 5,
and
goal line, red zone receiver that we signed him up to be. We're supposed to be seeing that, and we're not seeing any of that. No. And then obviously with Rome, you want to see that he's getting better week by week, so you want to see that connection, but not to the point where you feel like it's just Caleb Williams and all he's looking for is Rome Odunze.
Yeah,
right, because that's how it's starting to feel. And I think throughout the course of this game, what you started to just see was that there's a lack of energy, there's a lack of want, there's a lack of will, there's a lack of force that now is permeating through the Bears. I don't know if it's that they don't believe in Matt Eberflus or if they just don't believe in this season. And I could argue that maybe they don't believe in the quarterback anymore, which we'll talk about. But I'm starting to get to a point that there might be some concerns that it's not just Matt Eberflus that maybe have lost the locker room, that some of these guys may be actually divided on whether or not this season could have been better had we not decided to go a certain route.
Shit, I'm sure DJ feels that way.
And
you know what I mean?
He's number one on my list of individuals who I feel like is like, y'all motherfuckers didn't listen to me. When I said that I didn't think that there was anybody in the draft that supposedly was so much exceptional that we needed to move on from Justin, you motherfuckers didn't take my shit seriously. And speaking of DJ Moore, we know that during the course of this game, during the play that Caleb Williams was scrambling around, if we can get that clip rolling at any point, DJ just walks off the field.
Yeah.
In the middle of the play just going, in the middle of the play being processed, in the middle of the play happening, DJ just kind of just checks out.
Yeah,
he just says,
let's take a look at this.
Yeah, just, I mean, right there. Here you got Caleb scrambling.
Top of the screen right now.
DJ is there. He sees him scrambling, and he just walks off. Now, it looks like he has a little bit of a limp. Obviously, he continues to play the rest of the game, but the play is still going on. I mean, at the end, at the very least, DJ could have just stayed at the sideline and just pretended like he was going to make a sideline catch and stayed there just in case Caleb threw it back around, but he literally just walked to the bench.
Yeah, I mean that's just unacceptable.
Yeah, but I bet you're not gonna bench him.
No, hell no. I mean, it's so many things that I think everything that could have gone wrong this season has gone wrong for the Bears. Like people were so optimistic going into the season, and I just want to say this really quick to wrap up before we move on. So many things went wrong that were supposed to go right. And as the weeks advance, I mean, we're seeing the same problems over and over again, and it really does make you start asking the questions. Well, what is it?
Mm-hmm.
What is it? Is it Caleb? Is it Matt Eberflus?
Matt Eberfuck.
Matt Eberfuck. Is it Shane Waldron? Like, what exactly is it? And
is it all three?
Right. It could just be the culmination of all three, which, in team football, like that's what you would kind of lean towards. But, what I mean? Yeah. People will have their narratives of pointing fingers. But let's move on to our other Chicago team.
Let's move on. Yeah, absolutely. But we want to say that I want to talk about this from our formula for success standpoint, right? Our halftime formula for success. I want to talk about how the Bulls can kind of get the season back where we want it to be, or back where it can be. The Bulls have surprised some fans. Not me necessarily, because I thought that they could be this type of team. We're in the fray, right? We're in that Eastern Conference mid-pack where we can lose a game and we can be in 9th place, or we can win a game and we can be 4th or 3rd or 5th in the conference, right? And what I've been seeing so far is that obviously we've been struggling in the first quarter. We're ranked 28th in the first quarter when it comes down to starting games, right? Which has led to a lot of our situation being comeback victories that we've had so far. 2 games where we came back from 20-point deficits and came back and won. Now, that shows that we have resilience, but you don't want to always be in a situation as a coach where your guys have to pull off miraculous victories. It's cool that they can, but you don't want that to be the case. Vucevic has been starting off this season extremely well.
Yeah, very well.
Even when people thought that he might have, when people thought that he might be the one player on the roster that couldn't expand or transition to this new style of offense, he's kind of been one of the more steady people. Him and Zach, but Zach has been hurt a little bit, so his numbers have kind of declined.
Yeah.
But Vucevic is shooting almost 50% from 3 and over 50% from the field.
This doesn't surprise me.
He's shooting like 90% from, like 91 to 92% from the free throw line, and it's just it's amazing to see because many people wrote Vucevic off for this season and said that there's no way that he could participate and be a part of what this team was trying to do. And my point of emphasis is that for the Bulls to continue to have success and win, and their formula needs to be in the first quarter, because they've been having issues starting the game off well, you need to establish Vucevic in the post in the first quarter.
Yeah.
Get him some easy touches down low, right off the block. Force the D, and I know we want to play fast, and you can always get to playing fast.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Like, playing fast doesn't necessarily need to be a 48-minute affair.
Right.
You can pick your spots when you want to up the pace. That's the beauty of having great point guards and having great IQ on your team, is that you can pick and choose the play style you want at any moment. But you start the first quarter off with establishing Vucevic on the post, getting him some easy shots. But more importantly, what you do is, well, a couple things. You save energy from your guards and your forwards from having to be running the entire course of the game. So that way, towards the back end of the game, they have the energy and the ability to up the pace and put that type of pressure on. But secondly, you establish the post, get easy paint touches, get easy paint points, and if the defense starts to collapse, you can then use Vucevic swinging the ball from the post out to the perimeter for easy catch and shoot opportunities for not just Zach, but for Kobe and for Patrick Williams, and hell, even for Josh Giddey. So now you're able to establish a shooting rhythm for all of your guys that are out there on the floor. So then throughout the course of the game, as they try to do more intricate shooting off the dribble, off the screens, and different things like that, they've established a rhythm, a hot hand, some form of consistency from shooting off of those catch and shoot opportunities from that first quarter. And I think that is the next step, because prior to that, the thing that was missing from the Bulls offense was that they wasn't finding Vucevic on those mismatches. When he would get a small guard on him, they would still end up finding themselves trying to drive the ball into the paint or shoot off the perimeter. Slowly, they started to change that, where they are finding Vucevic now on those mismatches and they're giving him the ball. The next step is, for me, establish him first. Get some easy catch and shoot opportunities. Reserve some energy. And then as the game goes, now you put that pressure on with the pace. And now your guys are in a much better rhythm to shoot, because Kobe White is still struggling at times to find consistency with his shooting. And I don't know if it's just him having to take time to warm up. I don't know exactly what it is, but he's still struggling out the gate to find a consistent shooting stroke. So from your perspective as a coach, what are some of the things that you're seeing that could be added to helping improve the success of this Bulls team that is now sitting at 3-4 from their last loss against who did we just recently play?
The Jazz.
The Jazz. Yes.
I think the number one thing that needs to change in this season, if there wants to be any type of relative success, is an emphasis on defense. We just gave up over 130 points to the Utah Jazz without Lauri Markkanen. That cannot be happening.
Zach didn't play.
Yeah, but I mean, we're talking.
But really quickly, would it be wrong to say that Zach not playing is a direct correlation to a drop in our defense?
I don't think it should, though. Like, I think
because he doesn't get credit for being that type of
Yeah,
defender.
and in years past, like I mean, he hasn't necessarily been like our best defender. I think he could defend the ball well, and I think he showed moments of that. But just because one player is out, that isn't necessarily known to be like your number one defender. Because who is it really? It's probably Patrick Williams, right? Your best, or Ayo Dosunmu. Those are probably your two best guys on the perimeter. So I mean, the loss of Zach should really affect the offense, and it really hasn't affected a crazy amount. Like,
I mean, it's only in one game.
Obviously, you're still you were missing kind of like the shot creating from Zach. Like, it's the play's dead, and you just need someone to go get a bucket. That's what Zach does best. You know what I mean? Cutting off of back cuts and things like that. But I think it was so important that you mentioned Vooch's start to the season, because I think that should be an indicator to the Bulls that we should try to get this guy going early, because like when the Bulls have won games, it's because Vooch going into halftime almost has a double-double already with like about 15 points. You know what I mean? So you have to start the games off strong. It's so similar how the Bulls have started, and the Bears haven't scored in the first quarter this whole season yet. The Bulls are struggling to even win a quarter, or win the first quarter. So it's so crazy how similar that is. And
they're both Chicago teams and ran by dumbass coaches,
right? I mean, I think the performance from Vooch. I was gonna note this earlier when you were talking about it. It doesn't surprise me though that he's kind of coming to his own and finally looking like the Vucevic we know and have known. Because let's throw it back to when we first traded for Vooch, and it was just Zach and Vooch, right? And then everybody else. Vooch looked great.
He did.
He was getting touches. He was playing that low post position like he was in Orlando.
Him and Zach had a great 1-2 game.
Yeah, and I think that's what was lacking this whole time when we had DeMar, is because we tried to transition that into, okay, DeMar and Vooch, or just sometimes just DeMar. You know what I mean? Like,
or we transitioned. What really happened is that we transitioned Vooch into a 3-point shooter.
Yeah, into a 3-point shooter, and that's never going to work because that's not what he does. He'll step out and hit the occasional 3.
Yeah.
He might go like 2 for 4, 2 for 5. You know what I mean? That's kind of his numbers, but him shooting the way he is now, it's more in like a natural flow. It isn't so forced how it was last year. Like, it isn't necessarily from a play design that, okay, it's going to be a pick and pop with DeMar and Vooch, because you can't have it be a pick and roll and want DeMar to shoot perimeter shots, because that's not necessarily DeMar's game to shoot the 3-point ball. That's more of Zach LaVine, which I think that's why Vooch has had more success, because he's got guys like Giddey coming off on a pick and roll with him now, so he's able to roll to the basket and actually expect the ball.
Yes.
He's got Zach LaVine on a pick and roll now, which obviously allows him to have more space underneath, because maybe they try to blitz the screen because Zach is a good 3-point shooter, and that's an easy kickoff. You know what I mean? So
absolutely.
I think it's very important that we do stress getting Vooch touches in the low post, because when we have done that, we found success on offense. But we really need it to be a strain in practice and just in these games for the next week. The defense has to improve from everybody. Like, Ayo plays good on-ball defense. Patrick Williams plays good on-ball defense. We need that from everybody. You got
and good help.
Yeah,
and good help side defense.
Yeah, you got to have good help side defense.
Yeah.
You got to have good rotations. It's a whole culmination of everything. But if everybody is just doing their job, you'll have good defense. But
I agree.
If one guy isn't, then your defense breaks down. It takes all 5 guys to play defense in basketball. You can't necessarily have it like football, where you got 4 guys rushing the quarterback. Maybe one guy's not having a day, but you could still get there.
Yeah.
In basketball, you got one guy not playing defense, you're screwed.
No, that's facts.
Yeah.
I mean, that's really the conversation when you say like guys need to be on the string. They have to be on the string on defense, and I agree with you.
Yeah.
The defense does need to improve, but I guess for me right now, I kind of just chalk up the defense to being what it is. We're a small team until we really get like some type of presence at that power forward position that can really alter shots at the rim and different things like that, because that's really what we're missing. We have the guard play, the forwards that can switch and do all of these things and keep guys in front of them. But once guys get beat off the dribble at times due to the rotation of the basketball, our problem is that we have nobody on the back end that can put pressure on the rim to shot block and do things like that. We have nobody that can really keep guys from thinking about going into the paint. Vucevic is a tall guy, but he's not a jumper. So nobody's afraid of him being able to block shots and things like that. And so even when you have situations where, let's say you got an Anthony Davis back there, or you got somebody of just that caliber, or Rudy Gobert, even, you get a situation where people, when they're driving to the basket, they have to consider, like, okay, I might get embarrassed. I might get my shot blocked, so I have to do things a certain way. And so that sometimes can be just enough to make guys miss layups and miss floaters and different things like that. But we don't have that. Once a guy beats one of our guards or forwards off the dribble from the perimeter, you can pretty much count it as a bucket. And I think that's the issue. But I think for me, the reason why I'm focusing on the offense is because I kind of just accept the defense is going to be what it's going to be.
Sure.
But if we can establish ourselves in that first quarter to be a little bit better, then we'll be okay. But I don't want to spend too much time on the Bulls. But that is our formula for success: improving the defense, establishing Vooch in the first quarter so that you get easy catch and shoot opportunities for the shooters, reserving your energy so that you can beat down teams towards the end of the game with your pace, and allowing your players at the beginning to get that shooting rhythm so that as the game goes on, they can be a little bit more dynamic off catch and shoot, off the dribble, and off screens. And I think that will put the Bulls in a more that'll put them in a better situation to win games, especially as they start to play a little bit more of tougher competition, because the first half of this season schedule for the Bulls is very, very, very tough and rigid. But on to the halftime report. The state of the Chicago Bears. Do they suck? No. They're real.
Yes.
I have an idea, Coach.
I'm listening.
Are you listening to my idea?
I'm listening.
Are you ready for my idea?
Probably not, but I'm listening.
We need to change the coaching staff.
Oh,
big idea.
Wow.
But it's not gonna. It kind of includes some people that people want, and there's two compositions of it. I want to bring Lovie Smith back.
Okay.
To be the head coach.
Okay.
I do. And I want Ben Johnson to get paid an extreme amount of money.
To be our offensive coordinator.
Okay. I am not sold on Ben Johnson being a head coach.
Fair. It's fair.
But I know people want him to be the head coach. And I question if he would be interested in leaving Detroit as an OC to come to Chicago as an OC. Now, hear me out.
Okay.
Chicago is a much better market. Winning in Chicago is much different than winning in Detroit. No matter how championship, Super Bowl, drought-driven both of these organizations are. And the Detroit Lions are a storied franchise, but they're not the Chicago Bears. If you're able to turn things around with Caleb and get this offense going, and the Bears somehow go from being a bottom league offense to being one of the most premier offenses in the NFL, if Ben Johnson thought he could be a head coach before, he would have the NFL in the palm of his hands if he turned this offense around. The reason why I say you have to pay him, one, is because there's an exit fee that you have to pay for him to leave the situation that he has in Detroit.
For sure.
That's
for
number
sure.
one.
Yeah.
Number two, according to rumors, I don't like rumors. I don't. Really don't like rumors. He wanted to be the head coach for the Bears. If there was a vacancy.
That's the job he wanted.
That's the job that he wanted.
Mm-hmm.
So to solicit an opportunity back to Chicago, that's not the head coach position. It's the offensive coordinator position. You're going to have to pay him a lot of money, one, to leave Detroit, and then also come here not specifically for the role that he desired, but it's a role nonetheless. Do you think that's something that can be sold? You bring back Lovey, who technically has helped put the Bears in this situation to get Caleb Williams by doing what he did with Houston and winning that game. He's the last head coach that we had that was able to have a winning record. He technically got fired.
Well, Nagy had a winning record.
Who cares about Nagy? Lovey was the last coach to have consistent winning records.
Yeah.
And he technically got fired and let go when he had a winning record.
Yeah, what? They were 10-6
10-6.
Yeah.
What is your thought process, or what do you think of trying to accomplish that if you're Ryan Poles? You bring back the tenured guy that's proven to be a head coach and has history with the franchise, and nobody will be upset. And then you find a way to pay Ben Johnson to be the successor to Lovie Smith. Once Lovey establishes the defense and get things right, finds a defensive coordinator to take over, and you establish this with Lovey that, hey, look, we're bringing you in because we respect you. We want you to be the head coach, and we want you to teach and mold the new defensive coordinator and allow Ben Johnson to get comfortable with this team as the offense grows, and then he'll be your successor. Do you think if you're Ryan Poles, is that something that you can pull off? Do you even think that's something that can be pulled off?
Me personally, I don't think so. I don't think Ben Johnson leaves the Lions for another offensive coordinating job, even if it was for a good amount of money, because once you secure a head coaching position, your role in the NFL changes. You could then go anywhere. You know what I mean? Like, as an offensive coordinator, you only have a select couple of places that you can go because you've only been an offensive coordinator.
Mm-hmm.
Once you become a head coach, you could go to a different franchise like Cliff Kingsbury and just be the OC there for a little bit, prove yourself, and get back into another head coaching job. I see the concern, of course, with bringing Ben Johnson in as the head coach, just because he hasn't had a head coaching position yet. But I don't think there's any doubt about his leadership. I don't think there's any concern about his communication, his accountability. Like, I think he'd be a perfect match as far as his character, but I'm not too sold on, like, the actual head coaching duties because he hasn't done that yet. Which, I get your point of maybe bringing back Lovie Smith, but I think it's also important to note the year he got fired, when they went 10-6, is because they then went on, I think it was like a 7 or 8 game losing streak when starting off hot, and he couldn't adapt.
Well, they can't be on a 7 or 8 game losing streak if they went 10-6, unless
well,
you're counting the year prior.
Yeah, I forget exactly what it was, but it was they started off strong, and then they went on an insane losing streak, which ended up losing his job. And then he goes to University of Illinois, coaches the Fighting Illini, ends up getting fired there as well because he didn't necessarily have the same impact that he had in the NFL. Couldn't necessarily get across to college kids. Then gets the job in Houston and also doesn't necessarily do great. You know what I mean?
They didn't have the talent to do well there.
Right, but I mean...
But he made the most out of that situation with Houston.
I mean, by giving the Bears the number 1 pick, maybe.
I mean, he made the most out of what he had. He didn't have C.J. Stroud.
No, I get that, but at the same time, like, during Lovie Smith's tenure in Houston, I don't think people were high on him as the coach. Like, I don't think people were necessarily in favor or like, oh, we got to keep this guy. Like, it was kind of like, okay, cool, but you're not necessarily doing anything for us.
Okay.
It was more so that perspective. So like, I loved Lovie Smith. Like, that's the coach I grew up with as the Bears head coach. And obviously you think about like that whole stretch from like '08 to whenever he got fired, which I think was like 2014, 2015 maybe. That's the guy I always saw on the sidelines with that group of Tim Jennings, Charles Tillman, Brian Urlacher, all those guys,
Lance
and you know, and
Briggs,
yeah,
Mike Brown,
right. And you see Lovie Smith with those guys.
Tommy Harris, Alex, forgot his last name. But yeah, he had a great defensive line.
So
Olin Kreutz was our center. We had an All-Pro center at that time.
And I think just the team in general was so different at that point. But I mean, going back to my point, because I don't want to sit on this for too long. I don't know how beneficiary it would be to bring Lovie Smith back, just because I don't know how much more gas he has left in the tank.
Okay.
As far as like adapting to this new style of football, because it ain't the same that it was 10 years ago. It is a completely different brand of football being played. And that is like my only concern with Lovie Smith coming back in, because I thought he was a leader amongst men. Like, I thought he was the guy. Like, he was the living evidence of a head coach. Like, that was a guy you want leading your team as far as character goes. But I just don't know how it would go now, which I see the favor in bringing in a guy like Ben Johnson, giving him the shot, and then letting him be a play-calling head coach where he calls the plays on offense and all that stuff. Because then, really, you could still keep Shane Waldron. You could still keep him.
But another name that people have mentioned is Cliff Kingsbury.
Yeah, I've seen that a lot too, and
I'm not sure. The thing about Cliff is we've seen him fail as a head coach.
Very true. Yes.
So if you can't get Ben Johnson as your head coach for whatever reason, I mean, does Ben Johnson become the head coach and then he brings on Cliff Kingsbury to be the offensive coordinator? I mean, that sounds like a match made in offensive heaven, or a match made in hell, because there would be two egos going against one another, and maybe Ben Johnson wouldn't want to relieve play calling duties or even just relieve the offense over to Cliff Kingsbury. And Cliff Kingsbury in his own right may not feel like he should be behind Ben Johnson when he's had an opportunity to be a head coach before. At least he's shown that he's been able to do the job, because Arizona did have moments during his tenure where they looked like a formidable team when he had Kyler Murray. So I think if there's a possible pivot to Cliff Kingsbury supposedly looking for opportunities outside of Washington, do you like Cliff Kingsbury coming as your head coach?
I wouldn't be opposed to it, just because he has a history with Caleb, and I think that's also a guy you could bring in to help Caleb's development and whatnot. Again, like his history as being a head coach is troublesome, just because he didn't necessarily have the best tenure in Arizona, and obviously left and went to the Commanders now. And I think if I'm a Commanders fan, you're wanting to keep this guy for forever because of how he's set up Jaden Daniels and this team, and just the brand of football that they're playing on offense. You know what I mean? Like, they have one of the top offenses in the league right now. So, if I'm Cliff Kingsbury, I don't even know if it makes sense for me to go looking for another head coaching job, just because of how coordinators are getting paid today. Like, they're getting paid
like head coaches.
Oh, damn near, if you're good enough. You know what I mean? So, like, Cliff Kingsbury, I think, signed like a 3-year deal. So this is year one,
and you already got a good quarterback,
right? And you have the system in place, and there's no reason for it not to keep getting better and better, unless they hit some type of wall in year 2 or 3 where it's like, okay, like, what can we do from here? But anyways, just because we've been going at this for a little while.
No, I mean, I just want to mention that honorable mention that I've heard is that people may consider, or Bears fans are even considering, a dream team mashup of like either Cliff Kingsbury or Ben Johnson as a head coach, and bringing on Robert Saleh as the defensive coordinator.
I'd love that too.
So I've seen that as a dream team speculation, but I don't know if you get that done either.
Yeah.
I think the Bears are in a tough situation where if they let go of their entire coaching staff, how do you go out there and put together this dream all-star coaching staff to try to change the Bears around? I mean, I guess you can, but it's just a matter of whether or not those coaches feel like the Bears are in a upward trajectory of wanting to bring their skills and their talents this way.
Yeah, because it's always considered.
Yeah.
Always considered.
But as always, we like to end our show during our predictions.
Yes.
So we have a slate of games coming this week 10, and as always, we just go right through it. So starting off with Cincinnati and Baltimore, that's the Thursday night game.
Yep.
Who do you have for that one?
Give me Baltimore.
I got Baltimore too, but I wouldn't be surprised if Cincinnati shows up ready to play that game. New York, Carolina.
That game's in Germany. What a terrible game to have in Germany.
I know, right?
But give me the Giants.
I got the Giants too.
Yeah.
Patriots and the Bears.
I really hope it's the Bears. I got the Bears at home. We play well at home. Hopefully, we get the job done.
I'm going Patriots.
Okay.
And I'm only going to Patriots because I think, like, at this point, the players may not even just want to play for Eberflus anymore.
That's a possibility.
And so if they don't want him as the coach anymore, this is the perfect game to drop.
Very true. Very true.
Buffalo, Indianapolis.
Bills.
I got the Bills.
The Bills.
Minnesota, Jacksonville. Minnesota. Kansas City, Denver.
It's going to be a good game, but give me Kansas City. I think they go
I got Kansas City too. Until you beat them, I'm going to keep picking them.
Yep.
Falcons and New Orleans. New Orleans is in disarray. Atlanta is wishy-washy, but I'm going to go Atlanta.
Yeah, I'm going Atlanta too with that.
San Francisco Buccaneers.
Give me the Buccaneers. Give me the Buccaneers.
They just lost to Kansas City in the overtime, and I feel bad for the Bucs because they keep losing in these tough games. And I'm not sure if San Francisco is ready to turn the corner. So I think this is a tough one for me, but I'm going to go Bucs.
Yeah.
Steelers, Washington.
I think this might be like game of the week here, man.
I think so too. And the Steelers just got Mike Williams, which is going to open up their offense a little bit more. Jaden Daniels is my guy. But for some odd reason, I think the Steelers pull this one out.
I could see that. Give me the Commanders though.
Okay.
They're gonna keep it rolling, I think.
Tennessee Titans and the Chargers.
Give me the Chargers. They're playing good football, man.
Yeah, I got Chargers.
They're playing good football.
Jets, Arizona. Yeah, I got Arizona too.
Yeah, they're playing good football as well.
Yeah. Dallas and Philadelphia.
Philly. Dallas is in the shitter.
Well, I think Dak is also hurt too. So I got Philadelphia.
He's out for a couple weeks, yeah.
Detroit, Houston.
Detroit. You got to show me you could beat them too. Obviously, they have their one loss on the year.
But you got to show me that you could beat them too. But I don't want to not believe in C.J. Stroud, but I'm going to go with Detroit. But I think that's going to be a closer game than people think.
Yeah.
And then Monday's matchup between Miami and the Rams.
Give me Miami. Give me Miami, man. I think Tua's going to play good that game.
I got the Rams. They look like they're turning the corner on their season.
They've been looking pretty good.
So I got Los Angeles. That's our predictions. But as always, we want to let you guys know and remind you guys of the halftime sweepstakes. You guys know what it is. Bears game. They're playing the Patriots. You know what to do. You have to follow us on Instagram, YouTube. You have to put up a video showcasing what you think the halftime score will be between the Bears and the Patriots. And you have to be right with the score. You have to tag us in your story so that we can see it. If you don't tag us, we won't know.
Right.
But remember, you got to have the score right.
Mm-hmm.
You got to have the score right. Just saying who's going to be up at halftime doesn't help, and having the score wrong doesn't get you paid. So all of those things matter. And if you're not following us, why would we give you money?
Right.
Why would
how about this? I'm gonna do my prediction.
Oh, you're gonna do one?
I'm gonna do one.
And you think you're finna get money from me?
No.
Oh, okay.
No.
Well, let's do it together.
Yeah.
You make your prediction, I make my prediction. What do you have?
I've got the score at halftime being 10-6 to the Bears.
10-6 to the Bears.
Yep.
I got the score 14-9 Patriots.
Interesting. Okay.
At halftime.
Okay.
14-9 Patriots at halftime. You got 10-6.
Yep.
We'll see which one of us is right.
We'll see.
But as always, ladies and gentlemen, This has been Coach M.
It's been Coach Konrad.
And as always, we want to see red and we want to bear down, baby.